It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown. And it's a shame it's taken this long to get an introduction for this Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer, Kelly Holcomb, along with young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on kind of a cloudy, overcast Friday in Music City. A little cooler than it has been. The good news is Saturday and Sunday should be okay. Weather should be good. This is Nashville Sounds manager Rick Sweet. He's in a little bit of a stupor because he can't figure out why I'm in a coat and tie.
Boy, I tell you what, I'm glad people can see you. They wouldn't believe it.
No.
Wow.
Absolutely not. So I had to get gussied up for about an hour and a half. If it gets bad enough, I'll simply take the tie off.
Well,
and go back
you can't do that now. You're there.
We know better.
People got it ingrained in their heads. I'm sure there's people going, wow, I never thought
Didn't know
he could
had.
pull this off.
Yeah. I mean, Joseph Bank, gosh.
Let's go to the bank.
Let's do it. So tell me, let me start out this way. I have the MLB Extra Innings package, and so I see the Brewers from time to time, and I see that both Bryce Terang and Sal Frelick, when they went up there, they have played as though they belong up there. How satisfying is that to you? Because deep down, even though you're not going to say it, you had a little piece in seeing to it that when they got there, they were probably ready to stay there.
Yeah, there's no doubt that's what our job is. That's what we strive to do here, is make sure when they go up that they're ready to go up. And so we're a little bit different than all of our other minor league teams. Our job is to get guys ready for the big leagues, to refine it and make sure that when they go up there, they do what they need done. And those guys have. You look at a lot of them, that have gone. Mitchell went up. I mean, Toole's just out there. Now Weimer went up last year, and that's a different story because he was forced to go up because of injuries and probably was a little over his head offensively, but not defensively. He played fantastic. And they sent him back here this year, and he started out here and was getting on a pretty good roll. And then, again, they needed to call him up, and they've been happy with what they've seen. Not a lot, but they're going to get to see more.
You didn't exactly roll into baseball when the Nashville Sounds managing job came open. This is not your first rodeo.
Yeah, you got that right. They can see me, too.
So can a manager truly know when the big league club says to you, is so-and-so ready? Are you close to 100% certain of your answer?
Yes. I wouldn't give them an answer if I wasn't 100% certain. Now, am I 100% with guys going up? No, nobody's perfect. And a lot of what we do is not just numbers. In fact, that's not what they have me here for. The analytics stuff is analytics stuff. You can figure that out. I mean, anybody, but what I have is different. I've had people like Ken Griffey Jr., Edgar Martinez. I can go back to names that I've had over my 50 years in this game, even including guys I played with, that I've got a pretty good reference to go back to and use when I compare a guy. So when I send him up, I sent Phillips up a few years ago, and Counts called me, and Counts goes, okay, what am I going to get? And I said, he's going to throw two guys out. I said he's going to miss three cutoff men. He's going to get picked off. He's going to steal four bases. I said he's going to be all over the field diving into walls. And I said, and the biggest thing you're going to get is energy. And Counts said, that's the word I wanted to hear. Phillips went up, played his first game. Counts called me after the game, and he said, I didn't think you meant he was going to do all those things in one game. He goes, I thought it would spread out a little bit. But so in a lot of respects, I'll tell him, hey, this is what you're going to get. He's ready to do this. He may not be ready to do this yet, but we're working on it. You can work on it more. So it's not that they're always ready to go up, but they're ready to go up and maybe fill a certain role for a period of time, and that's what we prepare them for to start with.
When did you know Frelick was ready? And the reason I'm asking that, the minute he got there, I remember watching his first night, immediate impact.
You know, again, I'm going to tell a story about Frelick. We were in Durham, and Counts called me on the phone, and he said, hey, tell me about Frelick. So I told him. So he's a hockey player playing baseball. And he goes, well, his exit velo, you know, the people, his exit velo isn't very good. I said, Counts, how many years did you play in the big leagues? I said, your exit velo wasn't worth a crap either. And there was dead silence. Now, I know Counts, but I wasn't sure. And I said, he drives pitchers crazy. So, yeah, maybe his exit velo isn't what you want. It will be, you give him a few more years. But I said, this guy drives the other team crazy. And I said, you're going to love every minute you have of him. So, you know, it's, again, comparisons work for me. And I knew at that point he was going to be an impact. Now, how big of an impact? I don't think anybody knows, because he's got the things that internally you can't see and you can't really qualify. You know, his guts and heart and everything else that goes with that is off the chart. And that's part of, when we say a guy's a hockey player, that's a huge compliment, because those guys will run through the wall.
Yes, as we see down the road from here.
Yes.
So you have a job, and I was trying to think about this earlier.
Did it hurt?
Thinking?
Trying to think, yeah.
Well, I'll say this. It didn't last very long. And the people at Vandy can probably vouch for that. How I ever got through there is a miracle, but that's another show. But in sports, you have, I think, the only job that I can think of as a minor league manager where winning isn't necessarily the number one priority. And yet, I think I know enough about you. You're like anybody. You're a competitor. Everybody that's in sports is a competitor. How hard is it when the competitive side of you wants to make one move, but, quote, for the good of the organization, you have to make another?
Yeah, that's a tough part of the job. But actually, I have an easy answer, because I've always been an organizational guy. I'm the boss here. This is my team. But also, we all have bosses.
Right.
We all have people above us. There's only one person that has nobody above him, and that's not the president. That's God.
Right.
So we all have bosses. We all have people. But I believe that if I do my job the way I'm supposed to do my job, I'm going to make it better for the Milwaukee Brewers. And also, it's going to be better for my players. So I make decisions a lot of times, maybe not the decision I'd like to make to win this game today, but I believe a season is like a long war, and every game is just a battle in that war. Well, sometimes you lose a battle or you make a decision, maybe not based on today, but based on the big process, the war itself. And so I make decisions. All that goes into my mind. In fact, the last couple of nights I've had decisions where I thought, you know what, I'm going to stay this way, or I make a change because I know it'll test the other guy. So my job is to develop winners. That's what I try to do. And if you look at it that way, they're not separate entities. They're together. It's one. You develop winners. That's what we want.
Do you tell your players what you just told me?
Oh, yeah. My players know everything about me. I talk like this. I talk about the baseball gods. I tell stories back from Gaylord Perry, and I say, Gaylord, look him up. But,
how sad is it that they don't know? And this guy over here doesn't know.
I've heard of the name, but I don't.
Really?
I don't have vivid memories.
Well, you can't have memories. You could look it up. But Gaylord Perry was, I'll tell you, he
The
was
best.
some kind of. So we go back to that. Yeah, they know me. I tell them stories back then. I tell them the way it is now. I tell them they couldn't have played in my day. I said, you guys couldn't have played when I played in the big leagues. Oh, we're bigger and stronger. In fact, oh, you may be all that. But I said, you ain't tough enough. I said, the first time that Earl Weaver or Billy Martin got in your face, you'd go crying home to mama. And that wasn't just that's in the big leagues. That was in the minor leagues too. They told you the way it was all the time. That these guys can't handle that. That's no way these kids can handle today how the game was. You look at the plays at home plate. You look at the plays at second base. We have all these rules now to protect all these guys. They didn't have those rules back then. Men played the game back then. But it's good for the game.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with the new rules. That's just the game has changed.
Rick, I guess I want to say 19, and I got a chance in college to do 2 years of minor league baseball with the AA Nashville Sounds.
Oh, okay.
And it was such an education. I came in believing I knew everything there was to know, and I walked out very early going, you don't know squat. You have no clue. This is a business, and at times it's a dirty, ugly, long business.
Oh, yeah, it is. There's no doubt about it. We're playing a game in a very business-oriented world right now, without a doubt. It's the changes in the game, but people really don't understand and don't know what really goes on this field and how things work. And when you try to explain to them, that's why we get new people in the organization all the time that are outside people in baseball, and they come into decision-making positions within the game. Sometimes they say things, and I just turn my head sideways and look at them like, you have no clue. But you're the boss, so we'll go ahead.
So whatever you say goes.
And that's the way the game is right now. But that's why I love the field. That's why I like being out there in the dirt. That 2.5 hours now used to be 3 hours plus. Now it's that 2.5 hours. I think last night was 2 hours 35 minutes. It was, the game rolled right along. Even though it was 9-1, didn't matter. It rolled right along. So
is it still being enforced as tough as it was a year and a half ago?
Yes, but guys have adjusted to it. You don't hardly see it now. When you see a delay, when you see the umpire step out and delay either the pitcher or the hitter, it hardly ever happens. It happened to a Brewer in the big leagues the other day at a crucial time, and you could see he just been over like, my fault. It just doesn't happen much. Players like it. I'll be honest with you. The players overall, and they liked it that first year. They didn't like it when they first heard it. Oh, this isn't going to work, blah, blah, blah. They all adjusted to it so fast, and it's made the game a lot smoother and a lot more enjoyable, not only for the fans, but for us too.
In your playing career, you caught two guys, Hall of Fame types, that would never win the radar gun war. Randy Jones and Gaylord.
Uh-huh.
In my life of being a ridiculous Atlanta Braves fan going back to the late 60s, I've got two of those examples, Greg Maddux, Tommy Glavine. Neither of those two were ever going to, woo anybody on a radar gun. Where did we get to a point where it's now all about velocity and there's nobody saying, do you have movement? Do you have a brain? Where did we lose this?
We lost that. That started going away 15, 20 years ago. We have all these outside gurus now, and it's all about it goes back to what I talked about people that never played. And that's, you wouldn't hear Nolan Ryan talking about. I mean, you heard Nolan talking about throwing long and doing all the stuff that really worked for him. But the art of pitching went away, starting to come back a little bit. We got so many arm injuries, and to me, the arm injuries are due to over trying to throw velocity. 2 miles an hour, 3 miles an hour is not going to help most guys. How about a little command and a little movement and stuff like that? And I think we're starting to see it with certain people. I know the amount of pitchers we're seeing here at the AAA level. The velo gets into the mid-90s, but that's nothing anymore. That's kind of middle of the road. Now, the guys that throw 97, 98, they're still special. But if you're throwing 93, 94, that's and you've worked hard to get from 91 to 93, 94, that's not going to change anything. Can you command it? Because these guys can hit that 93, 94 all the time.
So those four I named, let's superimpose them today. Do they still win big?
Oh, they still dominate. They dominate even more. They dominate even more because hitters are chasing everything. I mean, look at the strikeouts, and the strikeouts are not due to just velo. The strikeouts are due to guys trying to lift the ball and trying to get the ball in the air, and we're teaching that in most places, although not all anymore. That's why the strikeouts became, if we want to change the strikeouts, we're going to have to go all the way back to A-ball to start training guys how to not strike out, how to have a two-strike approach. We're not going to get these guys in the middle of their careers that have had success doing it because that's where it was at. It's going to have to be a concerted effort going all the way back to A-ball to eliminate swing and misses. But those pitchers, I'll throw Raleigh Fingers in there too. Raleigh Fingers couldn't break a pane of glass, but he's a Hall of Famer too with the guys you talked about, just a reliever, but doing the same thing. Yeah, they would have success here because they'd cut these guys up.
So in the today, where Spencer Strider throws 99 on every pitch for 2 years and then his arm breaks down, and obviously for me, that's a big concern because I think my team's got a chance to win it all. What is ultimately going to be the breaking point where the scouts quit worrying about the velocity as much?
Won't be the scouts. It'll be the GMs and the people up above. It may be owners that are tired of paying all this big money to guys that keep breaking down all the time. I mean, the arm injuries are compared to 20 years ago, it's incredible how many arm injuries we have, and it's not always, but it's velocity. That's these guys throw year round. They go to the off season and they go to camps to try to build up more arm velocity instead of maybe working on getting their arm a little more location or working other things.
When you were playing, there was such a thing as a four-man rotation.
Yeah.
Everybody was four-man rotation. Was that wrong, or is it are these kids getting babied too much now? What's the right theory?
I couldn't tell you. If I had that answer, I'd be making millions instead of sitting here with you. Not that that's all bad. Don't get me wrong.
Right, but it's a very poor consolation prize. I mean, it's not up there.
I think somewhere in the middle. I mean, I don't have a problem with velocity. I love guys trying to throw harder, but trying to throw harder without command doesn't get it done. You've got to have some command of it. So what comes first, command or velocity? I don't have the egg or the chicken. You can go back to all those things. I just wish we had more of a combination of the two, not worry so much about the velo, because that's everybody's number one thing. And velo is only important to me when it gets to be 97 plus. Now you're talking a little bit special. If you're in low mid-90s, that's not special. That's average. We see that out here all the time. You bring relievers in here, 94, 95, and that includes us. They throw 94, 95, but if they can't command it or you don't command it, you're not going to have success at the upper levels.
Where, going back to when I was doing games as a 20-year-old, I remember three guys that were in the 98 range. Randy Johnson, who at the time had no clue. He was an Indianapolis Indian. Steve Bedrosian, and then Rob Dibble. Uh-huh. Those were the only three I remember. Now I look around, if the radar gun is accurate, dadgum near everybody's at that number.
Yeah, there's no doubt. That's not back then. It was different. But again, back then we had the ray gun and the jugs gun. There were two different readings, about 3 miles an hour difference, I think, in the two. Now we're consistent with the one reading. But yeah, velo has gotten up there, and I think pitching has been ahead of hitting, because all of a sudden now we pitch up. Back in those days, pitch down.
Right.
And everything you pitch down in the zone. Now we practice a lot up in the zone, even if you have average stuff. And hitters are still trying to lift it. That's why they're striking out. They're underneath it all the time. So I think offense has got to catch up with the pitching in that area. And if you can throw 96, 97 and get it up in the zone and command it up in the zone, you're going to have success. That's hard to get to. Then it comes back to the strike zone. Then it comes back to what we use here, the ABS. It totally changes the game. ABS changes the game for pitching. And I'm not a big fan of it. I know Major League Baseball may be upset with me saying that, but I think it needs to stay with the umpires. And what the ABS proved is most of the umpires, they're pretty consistent. We're talking mid to high 90s. Probably mid-90s as far as you see 100 pitches, they're getting 95, 96 of them right. That's pretty damn good.
That is amazingly good. So, Sounds manager Rick Sweet is with us here. Should we give young Billy a little history lesson on Gaylord?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So, Billy, Gaylord back, let's say 20 years ago, used to come to town once a year, and it was for a medical center in Lebanon, and he would come on my show every year. And the first time he walked in, first of all, he's a very intimidating man with the biggest hands I've.
Strong hands, too. You don't want them on you.
No, you don't want to mess with him. So I said to Gaylord before we started the interview, I said, by the way, I said, this is not going to be your normal interview. And he looks at me, because he could be a little on the cynical side, and he goes, what the hell is that supposed to mean? And I said, I know more about you than you do. I said, I used to listen to you when you were a Cleveland Indian. Used to be on Pete Franklin's show, 3WE in Cleveland, which was the forerunner. It was the first sports talk show in America that was any good back in the 70s, before you had all these things that are now on there. And the minute I said that, man, he warmed up. And every time he would come on the show, we would end it with a Billy Martin, Earl Weaver story. So I gather you know those two hated each other.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's because they were two peas in a pod. They were just like each other. That's why.
So here's the education of Billy. Okay, Gaylord wrote a book called Me and the Spitter. He's the last guy really that we know threw a spitball. And he'd go through all these gyrations on the mound where he'd screw with the hitter. They never knew where it was coming from. As the catcher, what did you know and how hard was he to catch?
When he threw his spitter, I caught him in 78 in San Diego, and he won the Cy Young that year.
Right.
He would he'd go 2, 3, 4 games to never use it because he had good stuff. He was a good pitcher. But that one day where he didn't have his good stuff and he needed to go to that pitch, he was an add and subtract guy on the mound. So I'd call a pitch. I'd drop down and call a pitch. He'd add 2 and start winding up and throwing. Well, he had 7 pitches. And so I only got 5 fingers. So, you got to start somewhere. Well, he would add 2. And when I say 7 pitches, 2 and 5 were fastballs. So you better know his pitches, and you better be able to add and subtract and count, because he'd start winding up. So when I knew he was in trouble, I knew he'd go to that spitter. He'd go to 6. And when he got there, he was liable to throw it 7, 8, 9 times. Literally, I bet a third to a quarter of those pitches missed my glove, just like a knuckleballer,
right,
and hit me in the body. And which is fine, because I blocked it and kept it in front, because the last thing I wanted was Gaylord mad at me. But the other big thing was you had to make sure no umpire ever got to that ball before you.
Right.
I bumped a few umpires and was threatened by a few umpires because I kind of bumped him to get the ball and rub it off and hand it to him. They go, "Sweetie, you ever do that again?"
You're dead meat.
Oh, yeah, because everybody knew, and you could tell. He had a forkball, too. That's what he said. That was his forkball. And he threw that, and it had the same action. But literally, at times, impossible to hit, but literally at times, he'd throw such a good one, it was impossible to catch.
Okay, and hitters knew what was going on.
Sure.
What would they say to you?
Oh, they would. Sometimes they'd look at me, kind of give you that down look, like, "Geez, I know what that was," or and they'd go, check the ball. If it got away, and I'd always, there you go, just cleaning the ball off. That's
Right.
all I'm doing
For the good of the game.
Absolutely, and he didn't have to use it that often. Now, when I caught him in Seattle in '82 and '83 or '82. He had to use it a lot more, and it was
Right.
much easier to catch. He didn't have the velocity to go with it.
As a Mariner, he won his 300th game.
Correct. And he was still a good pitcher, but I think you can go back. You see Reggie Jackson coming out of the dugout with a bucket full of water, throwing water. He'd been thrown out of the game. There was,
There was a lot of fun stuff that we're missing.
Back then, yes, in Seattle when he was there. He was a lot more happy-go-lucky. He was, in '78. In '78, when he walked in the clubhouse, everybody just moved away from him. He was a burly old grizzly bear walking in there. He only shaved after a game. He'd come in with 3-4 days of growth on his face. When he walked in the training room to get stretched out, everybody got up and left. Nobody, and the trainer, I don't care if he was working on Gaylord Perry, I don't care who he was, or working on Raleigh, I don't care who he was, they stopped. This is Gaylord Perry's day. So it's...
Toward the end, he started bringing, the last 4 or 5 years, he would bring somebody with him. I guess that was part of the contractual arrangement. And so one year, he walks in with Phil Niekro. And I don't say anything other than, "Mr. Niekro, nice to meet you." We sit down, the show starts, and I said, "Gaylord," I said, "I see where you have brought my boyhood hero." And Niekro gives me a look like, "Do what?" And so we go to the commercial break after a few minutes, and Niekro looks at me and he goes, "Was that a pile of, or what?" And I said, "Absolutely not." I said, "In the 70s, we sucked." I said, "You were the only thing that kept it from being a 5-alarm fire." And then I start spouting off stuff. You won your 200th game in Pittsburgh. You won your 300th, and all of a sudden, Niekro is like, "Oh, this guy's serious." And I'll never forget, at the very end, he gives me this card with his phone number on it. And he goes, "If you ever need me, you call me."
That's awesome. That,
isn't it?
Those guys back in the day, it was fun playing. Not that it's not fun now, but everybody was having a good time. There wasn't that scrutiny on everything that guys do, so people didn't get to know the player very well. Now, back then, the talk shows, that's how they found out about
Oh,
it.
gosh.
Now you get on the internet, and guys like this find anything out for you.
Yeah, Billy.
Yeah.
So, okay, last thing. We no longer have the umpire manager stuff that we used to. Some of the classic stuff, because we have replay, which silences a lot of what would be happening. Is baseball missing that?
Yeah, but they can't handle the language. That's the part they can't handle. They'd be bleeping out. You know who I was texting with earlier today? Bruce Fremming. Remember Bruce?
Sure.
We were texting. I know his son lives here,
right?
And Bruce lives in Milwaukee. So we were texting this morning, and I think I was showing my wife his strikeout call, and all the things from back then. And I have a picture on here that his son sent me. He goes, "Would this guy scare you?" And it was him staring. I said, "Oh yeah, I remember that look all the time in talking about umpires." Yeah, it's different now, and the rules keep you from being as adamant as, because back in the day in the big leagues, all they could see is Billy Martin or Earl Weaver, pointing and yelling and screaming. They really didn't hear what they say. Today they hear everything.
Oh, absolutely.
So
better mics.
Yeah, you can't hide anything.
Yeah.
Used to hide it. people could use their imagination as to what you were saying.
But they couldn't prove it.
Yeah, well, now they can prove it.
Better get those glasses.
Oh, yeah,
You
before
are
I get out
a
of
joy to talk baseball
Always.
with.
I told you last time, I'd love to come back and talk.
Let's do it again soon.
All right.
Rick Sweet is the manager of the Nashville Sounds. Who knows, next time we may actually ask him about his own team. We didn't do nearly enough of that today, but they're home this weekend. If you got the time, come out and watch him. He's a very good manager at this level. He is perfect for what Milwaukee needs. We'll go to the break. Billy will give you an update. He'll try to figure out who Gaylord Perry is, and we're back after this.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
As some of you may already know, we've got some new broadcast plans that are going to take place effective Monday, April 29th. What is now a 2 to 4 p.m. show that you watch will move to 4 to 6 p.m. You'll be able to watch it just as you do now. What will change is that we're simulcasting back to radio on WNSR. There are a couple of signals that we want you to know about. They're FM, the stronger signal, 95.9. Remember to write that one down. The other is up in the Rutherford County area, 107.9. Whichever way you choose to see the show, we just want you to be a part of it. The big reason and the big advantage for doing this is that we want to be able to take phone calls. We have missed talking to you guys and gals and can't wait for April 29th when that starts to happen. Thanks for being with us. Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. Billy, the baseball fan in me, loves talking with Rick Sweet. Now, he may not love it as much as I do, but God, I could listen to him all day long.
Yeah, he's entertaining, and he doesn't shy away from anything, any topic. You know, anything you ask him, he's going to give you a good answer, and you can tell he's a historian too. I mean, he's played with a lot of, you know, I mean, who's the pitcher that he played with? You were talking about
Gaylord Perry.
Gaylord Perry. I mean, you know, it doesn't get any better than that. So
Gaylord, the last show I did on radio when I left to go to Belmont, Willie Donick set up all of the guests, and about 2 hours into this show that felt like This Is Your Life. I mean, what Willie did that night was incredible. One of the last guests was Gaylord, and he had reached Gaylord over in North Carolina, and I don't have the tape of it, but that was pretty awesome. Gaylord,
that's cool.
Oh, Gaylord was an absolute stud.
That's awesome.
As Rick Sweet.
But he's not from Nashville, though.
Oh, good Lord, no.
He was always in that. I mean,
well, he would come once a year for there was a medical center in Lebanon that would bring him here, and a good friend worked it out. And that first time, because I know Gaylord's reputation going in, I mean, it was very open that he could be very difficult on teammates. He was a perfectionist, and I decided when he comes in, I just said, this is not going to be your normal interview. And he turns and he gave me a look. What the hell's that supposed to mean? And I said, it means I know more about you than you do. Because I said, this is not going to be your normal interview.
Yeah.
I know some baseball.
Yeah.
You know, this is not going to be what's your favorite pitch. You know, I knew all the stuff about him. And once I said, I grew up listening to you on 3WE out of Cleveland. Pete Franklin was the godfather of sports talk radio. And this was at a time where the Indians sucked. It was almost like the movie Major League.
Yeah.
And they played an 85,000-seat municipal stadium. And 7,000 in there looked like nobody. And Gaylord was the only asset the Indians had. And he would come on Pete's show, and it was amazing radio. Gosh.
That's cool. We did have a comment in from somebody on YouTube. Rick Sweet hit 450 lifetime off Jack Morris and 400 off Dennis Eckersley.
Oh, really?
So
good to know.
Good piece of hitting there from Rick. But we do have an update
yes,
today.
and later we'll Mark McGee will join us at 3, and we'll get into what the Predators are facing now that it's official. It's Vancouver.
It's official. Here's a quick look at the series. Game 1, Sunday night, late, 9 o'clock Central Time, puck drop up in Vancouver. It'll be on ESPN.
What would Kelly be saying right now?
Kelly would be saying, I don't know, too late for me?
Is Mama going to tuck you into bed? Are you going to be able to make it through that?
I don't think Kelly's going to make it through. We'll see about that. He might not even make it past the first period.
You might be right.
But you do have Tuesday as well, ESPN2, 9 o'clock again. But then the Preds will return home for Game 3, Friday night, 6:30 puck drop. That'll be on TBS. And then Game 4 is set for that next Sunday at 4 o'clock. So interesting puck drop there at 4 o'clock. That'll be TBS.
So, Billy, yesterday I sort of laid out the negotiating that went on. Vancouver and Vegas and the Kings were furious because the season had a weird ending to it. It was Monday, the season ended for the Predators, Thursday, Kings and Vegas. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, wait a minute. The Preds get this huge advantage in rest. The league, I think, wanted to start the series on Saturday. The Canucks, let me see when the Canucks complained, a couple of things happened. It was tossed out there
last night. Their season, right?
It was tossed out there. The concept of not starting until Tuesday, I hear the Predators may have said that's too long. The league at one point threatened back-to-back playoff games, which to me is an integrity issue given what's at stake. So anyway, when you see that schedule, there's been some negotiating that's gone on, and also an assist to Tim McGraw, who's doing a concert Thursday night in the arena, because the likelihood is Game 3 would have been Thursday night, where the Predators would have had virtually no rest, after flying back from Vancouver. Now that game is Friday, I think that's a huge advantage for the Preds.
I agree. Instead of, Wednesday would be the travel day. Now you get, Wednesday travel day.
And Thursday rest.
Rest Thursday, and then you play Friday. But, yeah, this worked out, I think, well for the Preds. And
until you get toward the end of it, and then then it gets
tight.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to have to wait and start this series until Tuesday. I mean, that's the other side of it for the Preds. The Canucks weren't going to be happy if they were to start this, Saturday? That was going to be in the discussion, but I guess they settled on Sunday. So starts on Sunday night, 9 o'clock, Preds and Canucks. We've also got the beginning of the playoffs will be Saturday, 4 o'clock, Islanders and Hurricanes. That'll be on TBS in Raleigh, game 1 of that series. And then the Maple Leafs are in Boston to play the Bruins.
That's
7
a big
o'clock.
kind of grudge rivalry deal.
Yep.
I don't know the actual mileage between the two cities, but they're two of the original 6.
Yeah.
And so
That'll
a lot
be
of
fun.
fans, when Boston was here several weeks ago, they had a ton of fans here. Toronto, when they come here, they have a ton of fans that show up here. Watch that series. That will be a very interesting series.
Yeah, you got 4 on Sunday, including the Preds. The Lightning will be in Florida to play the Panthers at 11:30.
Rivalry.
Yeah, ESPN.
Tampa Bay and Florida.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And then Caps and Rangers up in New York at Madison Square Garden at 2 o'clock on Sunday. And then the Avs and the Jets, which should be a really good series as well, 6 o'clock up in Winnipeg. So NHL playoffs getting set and roaring and ready to go. But we've also got a piece of news on the college football side of things. They are adding helmet communication, which we already knew. We had talked about that, about a month ago when they did they kind of said this is what's going to be happening.
Yeah.
But 2-minute timeouts at the end of each half and other changes have been approved this week by the Playing Rules Oversight Panel.
Now, wait a minute. What do we mean by that? 2 minute?
So the 2-minute warning.
Oh, okay.
But that wasn't talked about as one of the original adjustments.
So this is a copy of the pro model.
Yes. So, I mean, we're going to be watching NFL football to a degree, even though they haven't figured out the free agency stuff. But games featuring FBS teams are going to give the option of using coach-to-player communications through the helmet of one player on the field, designated with a green dot on the midline of his helmet. Several teams used helmet communications during the most recent bowl games, and they've also been utilizing them in spring practice. So that is one of the big adjustments, which we already knew about, of course.
You want a little soapbox here?
Let's hear it.
On the college basketball level, we need to get rid of the I almost said booze it and lose it timeout. The use it or lose it timeout before the end of the half.
Yeah.
If a team and a coach cannot put a plan together of how to attack the final shot of the half without taking a timeout, shame on them.
Yeah, that's on them.
Figure it out. There's no reason for two teams in the final minute of a half to have to take a timeout.
No. And it's gotten ridiculous,
It
too.
is absurd.
You've seen it more where, it comes down to the end of the half, and it's like, what are we doing here? So
what are we doing here?
I'm with you. Also in college basketball, well, more of a focus on college basketball, but this involves the University of Memphis. FedEx is pledging $25 million over the next 5 years to Memphis's NIL program. Huge boost for their NIL efforts. Obviously, FedEx based in Memphis, FedEx Forum. And I say basketball at first because, you would think this is more of a basketball-centered school, Memphis, but they've got a good football program as well with Ryan Silverfield. So it'll be interesting to see how they split that. I doubt much will be used for baseball, but, $5 million, that's
okay, you
a lot
want
of
me to
that.
give you some backstory to all this?
Yeah.
This is the former voice of the Memphis State
Yes.
Tigers. So FedEx, and in particular Fred Smith, whose son just happens to be Arthur Smith.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. That group, FedEx, Fred Smith, tried to throw an absolute buttload of money at one point at the Big 12 to try to get Memphis in there. They were unsuccessful. It's been really kind of a demoralizing thing because Memphis desperately wants to be a player, if you want to call it that. And so it's possible that what really is going on is they've taken that money that the Big 12 didn't accept and said, okay, now we're gonna plunge it into into NIL.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I don't know is, and maybe the story says it, is it all football? Is it half football, half basketball? What is it?
Yeah, it'll initially focus on football, men's basketball, and women's basketball, and then other women's sports. So, but football was the first sport mentioned there, and then men's basketball. So, but I think that's it.
The Memphis, I know, it's the other way around. I know the football
that's why
programs.
I said basketball story. I'd be surprised if there's more going to football.
Well, I'll toss it out this way.
Because realistically, if you're Memphis, you're set up better for success in basketball.
Absolutely, you are. You could win a national title if all the T's got crossed and the I's got dotted. Think about it. Calipari came within a bunch of missed free throws in the finals against Kansas from Memphis being a national champion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now if somebody gets offended with this, so be it. I don't think you can win a national title in football at Memphis State, University of Memphis. So if it's me, I'm putting more of that money into basketball because the one thing Memphis has been able to do, Billy, when I was there, their recruiting footprint was about 20 miles.
Yeah.
They didn't have to go anywhere.
They didn't need to, yeah.
When I was there, Sylvester Gray, Bolton High School, Marvin Alexander, Dwight Boyd, they were all in that little circle, which I used to always laugh. John McLaughlin, Monticello, Indiana. I was like, where'd you come from?
That's funny. But, yeah, they will have an NIL event for football at their spring game on Saturday. So
what does that mean, an NIL event?
An NIL event.
Pass the hat?
What does
that mean?
Probably some luncheon, dedicated to NIL.
A luncheon.
Hey,
okay.
Let's get these
That's a
players
luncheon
paid.
you don't want to be invited to. If you don't have money, you don't want to be there.
No, you don't. Baseball. Vanderbilt got their game in last night against Florida, despite some bad weather. I was there, but left during the delay because you never know how long those are going to last. But they did get the win 10-5, and they will play tonight at 6 o'clock in Game 2. That'll be on ESPN2 if you want to watch it. So Vanderbilt and Florida will keep it going tonight. They'll play tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And then Tennessee with a big series, a top 5 series this weekend against Kentucky. But
up there in Lexington.
Up there in Lexington. It'll be a little bit cooler. I think it's supposed to be windy tonight. They'll start at 5:30 Central, but not on TV. And I think that's a problem college baseball has to look at. When you have a top 5 series, you should be able to flex to either SEC Network, ESPN2, ESPNU, to have it stuck. And I know it's Kentucky. Kentucky's not a draw baseball-wise typically, but it's kind of funny. You look back at last year's Tennessee-LSU series. That was on, ESPN2. That was on TV pretty much easily every game. But, they set these before the season. I think they should be. And it's probably not easy to flex these, which is,
well, now let me say this, okay, under the what has to happen, because the SEC network's in total control.
Yeah.
They've got all the money in the world that they're helping pass on to the schools. Good for them.
Yeah.
The SEC network can simply say to Tennessee and Kentucky a couple of weeks out, hey, this is when you're playing on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Attention crew that was going to be production company that was going to be in Nashville. Instead, you're going to Lexington. Tom Hart, Chris Burke. Instead of Nashville, you're going to Lexington.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. This is a major screw-up on the SEC Network's part.
Yeah.
Now, maybe I don't know every last thing, but I've been involved in a lot of TV productions over the years of games. It ain't that hard.
Yeah, sit together, meet, whether it's Sunday or Monday, early that week, and say, look, here, we're going to do some shifting around. I know this is what we originally said before the season. I don't think that should be that hard.
Now,
I've heard it is hard for whatever reason. I don't know why.
I'm not buying it. I am absolutely not buying it.
And it's nothing against Vandy and Florida because those are two, you would imagine, they'd be
they're
ranked
two
before
very
the season.
quality teams. But this is a top 5 of two schools that hate each other.
Yeah. It'll be fun. I'll be watching.
There'll be some fireworks.
Yes, there will definitely be some fireworks. And Kentucky is really good.
There'll be a fight in this series.
There will. I think Vitello, is his days of getting kicked out, I think, have passed him. But we'll see. Maybe tonight lights a fire in him. We'll see. Also in the NBA, you got a couple of games tonight. Bulls are in Miami to play the Heat at 6 o'clock, and then the Kings will play the Pelicans tonight down in New Orleans.
We have plays on those, do we not?
I believe we do. Those are two tight lines. I think Miami is down to a 1.5-point favorite now, and then New Orleans is favored by 1.5 as well. I think I just saw. So those are tight lines. Should be some good games tonight.
So who did I go with last night?
Well, you went with the Cubs, but they got rained
out. So we have no play. Can I pick a winner and let's go ahead and add it on there?
Just pick one of the winners.
Make one up.
The Braves are in action tonight against the Rangers.
Yes.
6:20. That'll be on Apple TV for whatever reason.
Yes.
So that one is down at Truist Park. They will play.
Which means I'm not going to see it.
No. They will play tomorrow night as well. And then
Sunday night.
ESPN.
Sunday night.
Okay. So
a lot to watch on Sunday night. This will be a 4 TV.
That's
it's
a
4 TV night.
Yeah. I kind of like obviously you'd like it a little bit earlier. I don't hate it at 9 because, at least for Braves fans, you get to watch the Braves and then watch the Preds. But I don't hate that 9. I am younger, though, so older people may not like it.
What's the time difference? Isn't it 2 hours in Vancouver? So it's 7 o'clock their time.
Yeah.
ESPN on that day is trying to fit 4 games.
11:30. That's the one I would hate.
Well, of course, that's 12:30 Florida time.
That's true.
So 11:30, 2 o'clock, I think 6 and 9.
Yep. I love what the NHL is doing.
I don't know why they wouldn't have gone 5 and 8, but
yeah. I really like what ESPN and the NHL have done. I've liked their coverage. I know PK Subban has done a good job. You see him on the McAfee show every week, but they're covering it. It's not like they've got them on their network. They're covering them. The Preds will be on ESPN. And they've got good crews. You know who will be calling it on Sunday night?
I have no idea, but I do know this. The amount of coverage of the NHL playoffs compared to, when I was coming out of school 40 years ago. Oh, my God. You couldn't find an NHL game. No. They couldn't get on anybody's TV, and now every game is on. For all the heat that Gary Bettman catches, he has been a very successful commissioner, and I know this better than just about anybody. If it hadn't have been for Gary Bettman's support, the Preds, they'd be in the Eastern Conference. They'd be the Hamilton, Ontario Preds.
So they'd be on the other side of the bracket.
If Gary Bettman had not been such a huge backer, that's exactly what would have happened.
Thank goodness, I guess. Does it matter?
Well, it does now.
Conference? It does now. That's true.
Okay, I know we need to go to the break. We'll go stat of the day when we come back, and then Mark McGee will join us. We've got a lot to talk about with this Predators series. So let's get ready. We got plenty more coming up.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you. Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Nashville, get ready for the greatest show on turf. Electrifying, high-octane, non-stop spring football action. Starting at only $30. Don't miss the season opener this April 27th at Municipal Auditorium.
Hi, I'm Jeff Fisher. The Nashville Cats are bringing arena football back to Nashville.
Grab your tickets now at thenashvillecats.com and be part of the action.
Top of the hour on a Friday. We're broadcasting live from First Horizon Park in Nashville ahead of tonight's Sounds matchup. Who they got tonight, George? They've got the Kansas City Royals affiliate.
No, it's the Omaha
Storm Chasers.
Storm
that's
Chasers.
Right. Storm Chasers
What
tonight.
What a great nickname.
Yeah, they've been. Hopefully they chase the storms. I don't think there will be any storms tonight. There were last night, but excited for that tonight. But also excited to talk a little Preds with Mark McGee coming up. But first, Stat of the Day brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards. You can find them out in Shelbyville. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, here's what we got today for Stat of the Day. George, we're less than a week away from the NFL Draft, and J.J. McCarthy is a shoo-in for the first round. When was the last time a Michigan quarterback was a first-round pick? It's a tough one. Last time a Michigan quarterback was a first-round pick.
You know, I'm thinking of something that you're going to laugh. I'm wondering if the answer is Jim Harbaugh, but hold on a second on that. Now, Erica, if you will, I know you're in the background there. Take a look at your phone and give me either a thumbs up or a thumbs down because I have just texted you something. Thumbs up, that'll work?
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
Okay. What that is me screwing up a schedule. And Erica's nice enough to clean up my mess here. It's either Jim Harbaugh or Brian Griese. It's one of the two, and I'm going to go with Harbaugh.
You are correct. It is Jim Harbaugh.
Oh, beautiful. No Kelly Holcomb. Bingo.
No Kel needed.
Yes.
But we do need Mark McGee.
Yes. And then Erica Larson will join us to talk about the marathon, which is a week away. And knowing what I think I know, this is the kind of weather they would love to have. A little overcast, a little bit cooler, not 90 and sunny.
Certainly not, no.
Gee's on with us. Mark McGee knows an awful lot about the Predators.
Actually, we just lost Gee.
We lost Gee.
I'm going to try to get Gee
Okay.
back in here.
Hold on. We'll go into stall mode for a moment. If you've not heard, and Billy, go ahead and put the schedule up, and I'll talk through it for a minute. So game one is going to be Sunday night, and that's at 9 o'clock Nashville time. It's on ESPN, but it's also on the Bally Sports Network. So Willie and Chris Mason will do the first series. After that, the networks completely take over. Game two is Tuesday night in Vancouver, also at 9 o'clock. Game three is not until Friday, a little bit of an assist to Tim McGraw, concert in the arena on Thursday night. So Friday night is the Preds opener against Vancouver. Mark McGee is with us. Gee, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you, George.
So we've all been for about 3 weeks saying Vancouver is a better draw than Dallas. Are we certain of that?
Yes. Dallas may be the highest team in the league right now. I would not want to play Dallas at this moment.
Okay.
Vancouver.
Yeah, take that a little bit farther.
Well, okay. Well, Vancouver's just, I don't know, Dallas has got everything going for it right now, offensively especially. Vancouver's a question mark in a lot of ways. And you listen to the experts talking, you're hearing it all around. A lot of people feel like this could be a real upset with Nashville. I mean, Vancouver's playing with a ton of pressure. They have, the fans are going to be filling up the Rogers Center, and they're hungry. They want to move on from the first round. Be a ton of pressure in a sold out arena. And if they get through there, they come to Nashville, to Bridgestone Arena, which is one of the loudest arenas around. So the Canucks really, I think the pressure could be a problem for them. Where the Predators, they're the underdog. They know they're the underdog, and so they can play with a little bit less, less of that pressure situation. And I really think the general consensus is that in the Western Conference, any of the 8 teams could advance to the Stanley Cup Finals, with the exception of probably the Los Angeles Kings because of their goaltender situation. But they've got as good a shot as anybody does. But Dallas, I would not want to play Dallas right now. I'd like to see them play one round before we started against them from that standpoint. And we'll hopefully get to avoid them for second round if you win. So, the Oilers Kings winner. So, and that could be a nice matchup as well.
Gee, one of the most telling things to me going into this series is that Vegas has this as an extremely close series. For instance, let me give you some numbers here. Carolina tomorrow is a 230 favorite at home against the New York Islanders, meaning if you bet Carolina and it doesn't work, let's say you put $100 up, you lose 230. Contrast that with the line on the Preds' first game in Vancouver. Vancouver is a 145 favorite, which is a very small home field advantage. So Vegas is even saying, hey, we think the Preds have got a real shot.
Most of the experts are saying that you're hearing Nashville in 7, Nashville in 6. A couple were saying the Canucks in 6. But I think really, the Predators are a hot team right now from that standpoint. In the final 21 games, the Predators have been strong. And so I think that's the big thing right now is how hot the Predators have been. Granted, they've had some time off, and they've been played all that great the last 3 games, and they won a couple of those. But they're ready to go. And I think that the only question, you got a couple of interesting situations here. You got 2 Norris Trophy candidates in Quinn Hughes and Roman Yossi. They're going to be in the same series. You got 2 Jack Adams finalists, and Tocchet, the coach for Rick Tocchet, the coach for Vancouver, and Andrew Burnett with the Predators. A lot of people feel like they're going to finish 1-2 for Coach of the Year, which is voted by the NHL Broadcasters Association. So that's going to be an interesting scenario as well.
So, Mark, let me go to some keys that you gave me earlier today, and let's kind of talk through them. Billy, if we can, let's go with that. One of the things you brought up, the Canucks have a great first line. The Predators have had a surprisingly good first line. So kind of tell me, how big is Vancouver's advantage in that area?
And the first line probably not that big, but where the advantage comes is probably in the depth. We talk a lot about the Preds' depth, and the fourth line especially has been strong. But I think the Canucks overall offensively, they shoot the puck a lot. They shoot often, and I think that UC Saros is going to have his work cut out for him trying to stop them from that standpoint. They are known as a relentless offensive team. And that's going to be a big thing to deal with. So that's the big thing. One thing about the Canucks that's interesting is that in 53 times this season, they've scored the first goal in the game. When they score the first goal, they won 71.7% of the time. So you need to keep them from getting that first goal.
Wow. Okay, you give the goaltender edge to UC Saros, who I think in the last, let's say, 6 to 8 weeks, seems to have been completely on his A game. How big is the advantage?
Well, Saros is 15-3-3 in his last 21, 2.51 goals against average, and 9.916 save percentage. That's pretty strong from that standpoint. So in the final 21 games, he gave up 2 goals or fewer 13 times. So that's pretty good from that standpoint. The big thing with the Vancouver Canucks is that Thatcher Demko, who's their goaltender, who plays great when he's most of the time, but he was out from March 9th until last week when he beat Vancouver 4-1. He had a knee injury March 9th. Is his knee healthy? I guess we'll see. And the playoffs, there's a lot of pressure, a lot going on there. So see if his knee holds up. And their backup is not that strong. We've got Kevin Lankinen backing up for the Predators. And an interesting move they made, they brought up Gustav Gigla from the East Coast Hockey League team in Atlanta today to be their third goaltender. So I thought that was an interesting move.
Huh. Why?
Well, good question. I think maybe some of Askarov. I don't want to try to answer because I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
But it may be something about Askarov's contract situation. I don't know how the NHL Players Association, the way a lot of that stuff works. And they brought Askarov up earlier. And somebody was the emergency call, that type of thing. There's a lot to that, so I don't know whether anything to do with it or not. Because a lot of people thought Askarov would be the third goaltender and would be in there, maybe Saros Falter, maybe UC Falter to some extent. So I don't know exactly, but that happened today. He signed a contract in March with the Predators. He's only 11-19 in the ECHL, so I'm not too excited about him. I'm sorry, he's 18-19 in the ECHL, so I'm not really excited about him right now. So I don't know. But hopefully they won't need a third goaltender. maybe they're just going to use them from practice standpoint or something from that standpoint.
What other roster battles between now and Sunday, or maybe they've already been decided but not announced, what other roster battles are there to see who gets playoff playing time?
I don't know. I think they've already scratched. Cody Glass, I think, scratched already, and Dante Fabro scratched already. Who else I've heard was scratched? Those two stand out to me. There's about 4 or 5 that have been scratched.
So in Fabro's deal, is that a Spencer Stastny quicker, got more speed than Fabro? What is that?
I think that's exactly it. They like Stastny a lot. He's healthy. He's played really well, and he's just penciled in on that as well as defenseman. And talking about defenseman, Vancouver, from a blue line standpoint, the Preds from a blue line standpoint, there's not that much. They're pretty even. It's going to be defensively. Both areas are they're pretty even from that standpoint. I can't give you the one with an edge from that angle. So,
okay,
yeah. So go ahead, I'm sorry.
Let me go to the third that I went with here. Preds stronger than Canucks after the All-Star break. When these two teams played earlier in the year, way earlier in the season, it was obvious Vancouver was the better team. But some things have changed post-All-Star break. We know the Predators have played a ton better. We're all kind of saying, is this for real? And the second thing is Vancouver hasn't been, in my mind, anywhere near as good. Guy, why is that?
I think they're asking the same question up there to some extent. They tended to fall off quite a bit after the All-Star break, and I think that I don't know whether they just felt like that they had everything set or what, but nobody's really talked about that much from that standpoint. But they have not played that well, like I said, since the break, and a lot of people feel like that. That's one thing. I think that's one reason a lot of people aren't excited that much about Vancouver's chances in this. So, but we'll sit back and see how it all works out. But no, the Predators obviously were one of the best teams after the All-Star break, without a doubt. So it wasn't anybody hardly close to them from that standpoint.
Give me this. Give me some thoughts here. During that long 17, 18-game run where they kept getting at least 1 point every night, we know how good they were. They were incredibly good. There was a little bit of a tail off from that, which there kind of had to be, because nobody could keep up that pace. How close are they, in your mind, to the pace they were on during the streak?
Well, I think that pace that's pretty exceptional from that standpoint. I don't think the last 3 games or so. I mean, they won a couple of those, but I don't know that a lot of people felt like that maybe they weren't they weren't at their strongest of that. But in those situations, of course, Pittsburgh game was on the road, and Pittsburgh was desperate for a win. So I kind of discount that game a little bit from that standpoint. But you look since February 17th. The day after the debacle, that they've got the 4th most goals in the league. They've allowed the fourth least goals allowed, and the only team that's been more consistent in terms of play and wins is the Carolina Hurricanes, who a lot of people think might win the Eastern Conference.
Wow. So if the Predators were to advance, I haven't really looked at this close enough. Who do they end up playing?
They're the Oilers and Kings.
Big time travel.
Yeah, both games. I mean, it'd be back-to-back travel situations. That's for sure. Especially if Edmonton wins, and Edmonton's probably, like I said, the Kings are being discounted a lot. But one thing you got to consider: Stanley Cup playoffs seldom go by script.
Right. President's Cup winner, the most points in the regular season, hadn't won this thing in over a decade.
Yeah, and the New York Rangers are carrying that with them. Peter Laviolette and his New York Rangers are the President's Cup winners, and a lot of people feel like they're going to win Eastern Conference and be in the finals, but for the Cup. But that's that President's Cup. We saw it with the Predators. Even that's an albatross around your neck to some extent. For some reason, I don't know why that's the case, but it tends to be. So, but see, like I said, nothing. The scripts to kind of throw the script out from that standpoint. But like I said, most people are feeling like the Western Conference is obviously the stronger of the two conferences, really, right now, and anything can happen. Anything can happen there. So they've got to watch. Saros has got to watch. The defense has got to watch. They can't allow a lot of quality looks, and the way that Andrew Burnett's offense is working, it's really neat from the standpoint of you're scoring a lot more goals and you're getting a lot more shots, but it's also opening up the ice a little bit and it's allowing other teams to get more quality looks, and you don't want and to take more shots in general. And Saros is going to have to be ready to get. He's going to get barraged more than likely because
Guy, I've got a couple here for you. I'm going to start with this one. What gives you confidence the Preds can win this series?
Vancouver's inconsistency. Plus, I think that they have only been in the playoffs like once in the last 8 years, and that was during the COVID time. They played all their games in the Rogers Center against Las Vegas, against the Vegas Knights, and so the playoff experience for them is all those guys have playoff experience, but they don't have that much from that standpoint. They didn't play that series in front of a crowd. It was an empty arena, so I was going to see how they respond. Like I said, to that crowd that's hungry for a win from that standpoint. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens from that angle. And, so I think that has a lot to do with it. And I like the fact the Predators have been hot. And they believe in what Andrew Burnett's doing. And, they're a dangerous team from an offensive standpoint. Saros looks like he's back where he was and where he should be. And that's great from that standpoint. You look at the roster. I look at Ryan O'Reilly. I talked about him the other day. Ryan O'Reilly, to me, is real. I mean, he gets downplayed a lot by Philip Forsberg scoring and Roman Yossi's play, and Ryan O'Reilly came in not expected. He felt that he was in the downhill part of his career. It looked like he has really set himself up well with the team on the front line with Gustav Nyquist, who also was considered to be on the downhill slide. Two great picks by Barry Trotz in the offseason. But I feel like that. Ron O'Reilly was on the 2019 St. Louis Blues team that came out of nowhere to win the Stanley Cup. You got Ryan McDonough, who's got a Stanley Cup ring. You got Luke Schitt, who has a Stanley Cup ring. And those guys know what it takes to win one. So I think they're going to be a real force in that locker room, and also on the ice as well.
All right, second thing, here's what worries me. Obviously, the Canucks have home ice advantage. They've got a really good goaltender, and they've got depth. What worries you in this series, Guy?
Yeah, whether Saros can play up to what we expect him to play, and I think that's the big concern I've got right now. I think that, like I said, I think the defenses are pretty much even, and Thatcher Demko right now, he's a great goaltender when he's healthy, but how healthy is he? That's going to be interesting to see what happens there. How much he's going to be able to play, how well he's going to play. So, but I think that they're going to have to. It's going to be an interesting from that standpoint. But I think that's the big thing. You got Vancouver Canucks that can score a lot of goals. They're pretty relentless from that standpoint. You got to keep them off the scoreboard early. You got to have them play catch up on you, and that's going to be the big thing right now. And really, one of the things is the Canucks and Predators are the only two teams of the 8 in the Western Conference that weren't in the playoffs last year.
Oh wow, that's right. Guy, thank you so much for taking the time to come on with us. I know we're going to talk to you a lot next week, and I really appreciate your doing this.
Thanks for asking me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mark McGee joining us to talk Predators hockey 2 days away from the playoff opener in Vancouver. Next weekend, not only will the Preds be home, the Nashville Cats will make their debut. But we've also got the Rock and Roll Marathon the whole weekend. After the break, Erica Larson will join us. not only to talk about the race, but about parking issues with the Dome Stadium coming on and the changes that you need to know about. So stick around.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
We're back. As I mentioned earlier, next weekend will be crazy, silly crazy, with some terrific events that will be in our city. One of those involves the Rock and Roll Marathon. And joining us to talk a little bit about it and some issues that you need to know about is Erica Larson. Erica is the race director with the Ironman group, and she was nice enough to allow me to take one of my scheduling screw-ups and toss it in the waste can. So you are my new best friend.
Happy to do it. Happy to be here, too. Thanks for having me.
Okay, I want you to take all the time you need to talk through the fact that a lot of people in Nashville and Middle Tennessee support this. But this year it's a little different with this Dome Stadium coming on the scene. Give me all the parking stuff they need to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So we used to be able to offer free parking at Nissan campus. For those of you who are local, that was probably where you park. So this is going to be the larger change for you guys. There's a lot of exciting construction happening, of course, for the new stadium that's being built. So due to our operational footprint, as well as the construction that's currently happening, there's just no parking available at the stadium this year, but don't panic. That's the key here. There's plenty of options for you to park your car or get to the race via Uber, shuttles, things like that. So we have plenty of information on our website. It's runrockandroll.com/Nashville. Under the travel tab, you'll find multiple links to road closures, to Spot Hero, who we have a partnership with. You can go in and see all the parking garages and lots that you can reserve ahead of time, where they are in respect to our start lines as well as the finish line. So you can reserve that ahead of time. We definitely advise you to have a plan before race day. In addition to parking garages, we have a partnership with Old Town Trolley. So you can park your car at one of the properties that they are picking up from and doing round trip trips from, for both the start and finish line. That's another option that you can do. So it's really just about education, reading the information, and just being aware that there is no parking at Nissan Stadium, but there is plenty of parking available, just not at the stadium.
Erica, I told my friend Kim Detweiler Burton earlier today, this is an important issue that y'all are having to deal with. So feel free next week to reach out again, and we'll get all this information out again for you.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate it. We're very grateful to Nissan and all the Titan staff for allowing us and being able to still have our finish line there. This is just one of the caveats of working around the construction. Again, it's very exciting. It's just working together to make it happen. And then this is just a piece that we had to kind of pivot with this year, which is fine. There's plenty of parking downtown, but all the locals that have done this for years that may have been used to parking there, we just want to hammer it home that, we don't want you to think you can park at Nissan and you kind of pull up and sit in traffic and then everything's delayed in the morning. So if you have a plan for a race day, that's only going to help you to getting to the start line. So you're not rushing, you park your car, take the shuttle with plenty of time before you cross that start line.
Okay, you'll love this question, which is in honor of the retired superstar Butch Spiriton,
yes,
who ran the Convention and Visitors Bureau so well for so many years. Here's a question he would ask. How many people are coming in from out of town?
We have over 61% from out of town.
Wow.
This is a heavy tourist bucket list race. Nashville's booming, and it has been. And it's so cool to see the people that come here for this race. And I always say it's the best running tour of Music City. You really go through every single neighborhood and see pretty much everything that you want to see when you come to visit.
When you say the race, there's also about 3 days worth of activities with a series of different options for somebody like me who couldn't make it from here to home plate out at First Horizon, all the way up to people who are ready to do 26.2. Erica, talk through some of that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. There's plenty of ways to get involved. You don't need to run a marathon to be involved with the event weekend. So we kick off our event at the Music City Center on Thursday at noon. So that's our health and fitness expo. If you're a runner, you come and get your bib there, your t-shirt, your gear. We have our merchandise store, a bunch of local and national vendors. We're going to have live acoustic music playing all day, each day of the expo, as well as some line dancing instructions. So really bringing the Nashville flair to the expo. So as soon as you enter there, you really feel like you're in Nashville to enter race weekend. But we also have a distance for everyone. I think that's really cool about this event. You don't have to be a very fast runner. You can walk. You don't have to run. And we have a 5K, 10K, half marathon, a marathon on Saturday. But on Sunday, we also have more events. We have a dog race, a 1 mile race, and a kids race. So there's really a way for literally everyone to get involved. In addition to volunteering, you don't have to be part of the race. You can volunteer at the expo, the start line, at a water station, at the finish line. There's plenty of opportunity.
One of the things I love that has gone on here in sports in our city, kind of starting with the Predators and the band stage, and then the All-Star game where it was music everywhere you turned. Now virtually every sporting event takes advantage of the words Music City USA, and you all are no different in that.
Yeah, absolutely. We have over 25 band stages, DJ booths. We have the party buses that you see on the streets. Those party buses are coming out on the course playing music. And like I mentioned at the expo, live music all day, both days. So I think we'd be remiss if we didn't bring that into the event, because I think across all events, we want to make each market unique. And this is a way to do it for Nashville, just to include the incredible plethora of musical talent that is in this city.
Which is awesome. Okay, I've asked 3 or 4 probably dumb questions, but you end it. Anything I haven't gotten to that you want to get out there, take your time.
No, I would just hammer it home to if you're local or you're not racing or you're not involved with the race, just take a look at the road closures, make sure that you know what's going on. Take a look at the course maps, things like that. Our road closures are going to be uploaded, in the Waze app. So if you do need to travel about on Saturday, please download Waze. It will help you navigate around the road closures. We are always recruiting volunteers as well. So like I mentioned, if you want to get involved, find yourself some free time, want to come cheer the runners on, there's plenty of opportunity. The volunteer information's on our website, runrockandroll.com/Nashville. And if you are running, just make sure you have your parking plan for race morning. I think the key here is, don't panic. I know it was a wonderful opportunity to be able to park at Nissan Stadium, but that doesn't take away from the overall experience. And there's plenty of options downtown Nashville. If you park at the start, as we all know, it's about less than a mile across the pedestrian bridge to the finish line. So there's still very good and easy ways to get around, including our partners, Old Town Trolley. So just take a look, educate yourself, and make sure that you have a plan. We'll also have all this information at the expo. So if you have additional questions or just unsure, volunteers and our staff will be available at the expo for those questions.
The biggest fan of this event was my buddy, the late, great Rick Region.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that somewhere up in heaven, he'll be watching next week. And, if somebody screws something up, he'll put a call in from heaven and let you know it.
We just need some good weather, honestly. If we could have weather like today.
Don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
This is perfect.
Overcast and breezy and cool.
Yeah.
It's perfect. So if he can do that for us, I'll be a happy girl.
Well, hold on here a minute. Let me pull up long range because I think you're going to like what I put out there. Next Saturday right now, cloudy 79. You need about 10 degrees cooler.
Yeah, a little cooler, but honestly, I look at the weather every 3 hours. It's probably not a healthy thing to do because it changes every 3 hours. But
I believe it.
It's going to continue changing all the way up till Friday night next week. So we're just going to cross our fingers and toes.
It'll drive you crazy doing that, but I know the feeling. Erica, thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. Great to see you.
Same here. Erica Larson is the race director for the Ironman Group, and we thank her for taking the time to join us. Billy, how should we close the show?
I think we should close it out with a little bet of the day. Brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Give them a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. Again, we talked about last night. Who knows? The Cubs in a rain delay last night. So
it never happened.
No result. So
rain out.
Sticking at 500.
Okay. So the NBA's got 2 play-in games tonight, and I'm going to get into both of them. Okay, the first one has Miami at home, only a 2-point favorite, and admittedly they have lost a huge weapon in Jimmy Butler, and there's no way I would take Miami if this game were in Chicago, but it's not. And Miami is the team that is used to winning in this scenario. Remember a year ago, they went all the way from the play-in game to the NBA Finals. A lot of people have forgotten that. They came out of the play-in game and got all the way to Denver before they ended up losing in the NBA Finals. They're the one that's used to this. They'll win tonight because it's at home. And we're going Miami Heat.
Let's go Heat.
Pat Riley, Alonzo Mourning. I wonder if they can get Alonzo in the game if need be. Bam Adebayo. Big weapon tonight.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to show up big, and he probably will. Okay, game 2 is another one of these kind of deals where you got 2 teams that really are not used to this at all. Everybody would feel a lot better about New Orleans if Zion were going to be here. He's not. The line has changed, and now New Orleans is a 1-point favorite. Why? Because a lot of people are going New Orleans, and they're going on the belief that even without Zion, and think about it, This team's played without Zion for a lot of the last 2.5, 3 years. So it's not like this is new stuff. They got to hit threes tonight. They've got an array of people that can sit on that line and get it done. They have got to knock down threes. I think they're going to do it at home, and I think they're the one that's going to advance. So I'm taking the two home teams. Miami Heat, New Orleans Pelicans, and hopefully I can live to tell about it on Monday.
Bingo. And avoid the Kelly haterade. Because he's going to be ripping you if these lose.
You know what? You do think I pay any attention?
Sometimes I do.
Do you think?
Most of the time,
do you
no.
think what he thinks worries me? Kelly, if you're watching, it does not.
Nobody cares.
No. Okay, Monday, interesting show for you. We'll have reaction from Vancouver. I didn't say that very well, after game 1. And I think if you're a football fan, you're going to enjoy this one. Scott Yoffe. That's a name that probably doesn't register with you at all. He is the former public relations director of the San Diego Chargers. We're going to talk NFL ball, NFL history, the family, the Spanos family that finally made the move from San Diego to Los Angeles. We got a bunch of things to talk about with him, and I think you'll really enjoy it. He's a good talker. He was a lot of fun when we hooked up about a week ago. That's what we're going to do. Billy, until then, try to behave. Do something that'll make the show proud.
I'll see what I can do. Let's go, Preds.
Yes, absolutely. See you Monday.